Hi and welcome back to my playthrough of Darkest Night, the second edition, using the two-player dual class variant provided by Jeremy Lennert. And I have good news as we have a date. On this day, the Kickstarter campaign for the second edition will officially start. Isn't that awesome? There wasn't really much progress during the very first episode, which was only one actual round, but at least the ranger here was able to find a mighty artifact, the blood ring, and I already forgot to use it when he encountered the first event card here, but nevertheless he was able to get away with it anyway. But apart from that, I was not able to find any clues so far, so this is really something I have to focus on in this round actually. But what's more important in this round, I really have to get rid of this Desecration blight here, which increases the darkness by additional 1 each single round. And because this is so important, I think I will start with a Crusader here. So he will take his very first turn. And of course, as we are not in the monastery, I have to draw an event card. And here we have the Haunt. First of all, again, we have to compare it to the secrecy of the Crusader, which is currently a 5. So we would see or engage this wisp here, which would let us fight against this with 4 or 4 eluding it, and if I fail I would lose 1 secrecy, so overall that's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, I think there's not much we can do about it, and I think I will use the Ether tactic card here, which lets me elude with 2 dice. The cool thing about this one here says refresh 1 of your powers if you roll a 6+, so this can be a real bonus. But as I'm using a tactic right now, I have to place the grace mark on top of it, so I'm not allowed to use it again unless I'm using either another tactic or just fight without any tactics, and I would be able to remove this token here as well. Okay, let's hope for the best. We are looking at least for 1 single 4 in order not to lose another point of secrecy. So, and if we are rolling a 6, we can actually refresh 1 of our powers, which would be cool as well. Let's see. Nah, that was damn close. We were able to elude this evil Haunt here, but unfortunately we were not able to refresh 1 of our powers, but okay. That's something that could be worth. And as for my action, I will attack the Desecration here, which would let me lose another point of secrecy. So each time I am facing one of those, or I'm actively attacking a blight, I'm basically showing myself, which means I lose 1 point of secrecy. Right now that's still not really a problem, and as I really want to get rid of this blight, the Desecration blight, I think I will use the Wrath tactic card, which means I can move this one here. So again, I can write the Ether during my next activation or so. Therefore, I have to spend 1 grace, so I have to be careful here, but still I'm okay, I guess. And this would now let me fight with 4 dice, which isn't that bad. The Desecration blight is not that tough to fight. There is no penalty if we fail it, so, and we only need a 4, so the chances aren't that bad. So let's see. Yes, not a problem. Basically twice a hit. We only needed 1, so this Desecration is now gone. Awesome. Let's stay around. Any blights around, there will be no end of turn events here. So this was basically the very first activation for the Crusader. Now again, I could decide to take his second activation or whatever, activate the Ranger, and right now I'm not sure. Maybe I should really see how well the Ranger does before I do the second activation with the Crusader, because he can now whatever continue his turn or this next activation pretty relaxed. As the Ranger is in the same location as the Necromancer, he loses 1 point of secrecy. Again, right now that's really not a big deal. The next thing that he will do is to travel, so I can give him 1 secrecy back. So basically that's a tit for that. Okay, maybe I was a little bit too quick here because I still have to draw an event card as he's next to the Necromancer. If my secrecy would be at 0, then I would have to engage the Necromancer instead. Right now that's not a problem, so yeah, we will just keep losing secrecy until we actively fight the Necromancer, but right now that really doesn't do us any good. He has a might of 7. How can I roll a 7 on a 6-sided die? Good question. There those nice little holy relics come into picture, but first of all let's draw ourselves our event card. And here we have a nice one, the latent spell. Lose 1 secrecy, then spend 1 grace or discard this event without further effect. So I think the lose 1 secrecy is pretty much done deal. There's nothing we can do about it, but we could now think of or decide if we want to spend 1 grace, because the rewards can be pretty awesome. So with a 6 we would be allowed to destroy a blight of your choice anywhere on the board, and this is really a very cool thing. So I think I will totally do this. So for once I have to lose 1 secrecy. Remember, I was at a 4 because I started and I will send it back. So we are now at a 3. So this is my loss of secrecy. Then I will lose 1 point of grace. So basically I can now roll a die, and the cool thing is, because of my balance power card, this time I won't forget it, I get +1 die on event rolls, including fighting and eluding for events. And when you hide, you may gain secrecy up to default instead of up to 5. So that's really a very cool thing. So let's roll our, I think, 2 dice now and hope for something good. So something above a 4, or a 3 at least. So let's see. Oh man, even when I would sum up both of those results, I'm basically out of luck here. Okay, cannot really help it. So let's take the highest, that's a 2, but it still says no effect. What a pity. And then I think I will now move to the Mountain Seer, which gives me another point of secrecy. I think I will do that off camera, so we are at 4 then. But this pretty much ends the activation of the Ranger, or his first activation here. There is no real end of round effect. The corruption just says you are not allowed to use any bonuses. So I think I will immediately take the second activation of the Ranger. So the Necromancer is not present here, so I'm not losing any secrecy, but of course I'm still outside of the monastery. So again, I have to draw an event card. This time I'm not allowed to use my balance bonus because, again, the corruption says I'm not allowed to use any bonuses. And here we see some pad rolls. I compare this to the darkness. Right now the darkness is at 2, so not really a big deal. So we see an archer here with a 4 and a 4, so I can either fight or elude this archer. If I fail, I would either take a wound. In this case, I would be killed unless I spend 1 grace. Overall, nothing really bad will happen here. I still need to think if I want to fight or to elude. Doesn't really make a difference unless I use one of my special abilities of my power cards, which would be raise the hair, elude with 2 dice. But if I roll a 6, you must move to an adjacent location. So this can be really something I don't want to do unless I want to go back to the monastery and maybe pray there. This could potentially help us. Let me think about that for a second. I want to use a poison arrow against this corruption. Or shouldn't I? No, I think I will not do that. I think I will take the risk and just roll a single die here. I don't want to spend my poison arrow. Or should I? I could lose. No, I think I will just try to fight it. It really doesn't make a difference here, so I just need a 4 for the best. I have to be lucky at some point in time. Okay, so we actually did evade or whatnot, get rid of that card. And originally I really planned to search here because I still have that map card which lets me find some clues here at the mountain. But the problem is, because of that corruption, I cannot use my bonus, the spirit side, so I'm also not allowed to place a map card on top of the map deck. This is how I would interpret this one, and I'm pretty sure that's the case. So I really think maybe I should try to get rid of that corruption here. So I will fight or attack it. So again, I have to lose one of those or one secrecy here, and then I will use the tactic here, the poison arrow, which says fight with 3 dice. If the highest die equals the target number, you both succeed and fail the roll. Again, I have to mark it, so I cannot use the same tactic in a row. Okay, I'm looking for a 5. The problem now is if my highest die roll is a 5, though that would meet the might here, I both succeed and fail the roll. So for once I get rid of the corruption, so I basically find the source of the corruption in order to get rid of it, but I'm also failing the roll, which means I also have to exhaust all of my powers. This is also not that bad because I have to rest anyway at some point in time. So I think overall I'm really hoping to get rid of that corruption, so I will be able to leverage my powers here. Let's see. That's a 6, that's a perfect roll. So I'm only succeeding in this roll here. So this corruption is gone for good. Awesome, I'm not suffering any end of turn penalties here. So this was pretty much the second activation of the Ranger. And then we come to the second activation of the Crusader. Here again we have to draw an event card. And here we see the ritual. You may spend 1 grace and lose 1 secrecy to cancel this event. Count the plights in your location. Right now there aren't any plights in my location, so the worst thing that could happen is that the Necromancer would move here. And this is completely not a big deal, because I want to leave this place anyway. So let's just move him here. Nothing else will happen because it's not his activation. He's just here. And for his normal action, the Crusader will move down here to the ruins. Therefore, he gains 1 secrecy. But because the spies are present at his location, the end of round penalty just says lose 1 secrecy. So he's back to 4 secrecy. That were pretty much all the activations for our heroes. So we come to the Necromancer's turn. First of all, we increase the darkness by 1. Luckily, we got rid of the Desecration Blight. And then the Necromancer will try to search for the hero. So he rolls against a 3 or a 4. The Ranger is down to 3. Let's hope he doesn't find us. That's a 3, so he does not find us. So in this case, we just follow the, let's say, arrows that are printed here on the board. So from the swamp, 3 means he will move towards the castle, and there he will create a new plight. And at the castle we see some specters here, which are those guys. Let's have a closer look on them. Those are just fighting blight. So at the end of the round, if we are present in the same location, we would just have to fight or to elude them. If I would fail either of those, I would suffer a wound or have to lose 1 grace in order to avoid to die actually. Let's do one more round, and I think I will start with the Ranger once more. So he's outside of the monastery. Again, I have to draw an event card. And here we have to deal with some looters. I can only try to elude them, and if I win, so if I elude successfully, I would gain 1 secrecy, but the failure is really a bad thing. I don't want to see this to happen unless, again, I want to rest anyway at some point in time. Overall, this wouldn't be that big of a deal. I can use my balance power now. So I'm allowed to roll 1 extra fight or elude die in this case. So we should be able to get rid or elude those looters. We are only looking for a 4 in this case. Awesome. So we did evade them. We gain 1 secrecy, which is a good thing. And as for my main action, I think I will just try to search here. I don't have a spark, which is kind of unfortunate. I don't have any power which would increase my search results, so I just have to roll 1 die and hope for a 4 or more. Of course, you know all well I have this map card still on my spirit side. Power card which basically lets me find 3 clue at the mountain range. So if I roll a 4, I gain a clue, or 3 clues in this case. Hope for best, please, 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 please. No! Okay, again, we are pretty unlucky. That was basically a 50% chance, and guess what? I failed it. The folks who are watching some, or who were watching some of my playthroughs in the past, are well aware of my poor dice rolling skills, so I'm really not surprised here. Before I move on with the Ranger, I think I will do the first activation for the Crusader. So let's see what we have to face here. And here, a Cultist, welcome to Arkham Horror. The cool thing is, if I would fight him, I would be able to decrease the darkness track by 1. If I win elude, no effect, and if I fail either of those, I would have to spend 1 grace in order not to die. Unfortunately, my tactic card is gone, but I could really think of using a roll. I think I will try to fight the Cultist, because really reducing darkness is something that doesn't happen that often, or the opportunity doesn't appear that often. So I think let's go for it. So I will spend 1 of my sparks here. So this lets me roll 2 dice. I'm looking for a 5. Now I have decided that I will fight, so I cannot later on decide, hey, I wanted to delude first. This doesn't count, of course, but I still have this nice little power card, the tap power here, which lets me, after a fight roll, exhaust any of your powers, including this, to add 1 die to the roll. You may do this repeatedly. So I have a good chance and a lot of powers to exhaust in this case in order to get rid of that Cultist. Let's hope for the best. But if we are lucky, we roll a 5 right away, or 5 or more, and then I don't have to do that. Yes! Awesome! What an awesome roll. Wow, the Crusader is really the guy to hang around, that's for sure. So we won this fight. Double actually, but of course I only gain the reward once, so we are able to reduce the darkness by 1. This is really a very cool start. Then the Crusader will take his standard, or his main action here. So he wants to search in the ruins. So he will spend again 1 spark here in order to roll 2 dice. The search difficulty here is a 4. So let's see what we will roll here. We are looking, these were 2 successes, awesome. But of course, first of all, the Ranger will put this card here back on top of the deck, because here at the ruins we will find a clue symbol here. So we will put it back on top, and then the Crusader is allowed to draw 2 of those cards, because for each success you are allowed to take 2 of those map cards. And here you can see it for yourself. I think this was the card we placed back on top. Yeah, I remember those webs here. So both of them would provide us a blue clue symbol, which means we just found 1, 2, 3 clues. Again, we need to have 10 clues in order to reveal one of those holy relics on the board, but at least we are nearly 1/3 through our first holy relic. If the key symbol would have this red little background here, we would have been able to draw 1 of those mystery cards instead. Unfortunately, the turn of the Crusader is not yet over, because he's at the same location as those spies. So again, we would have to lose 1 point of secrecy. I think we will take the second activation of the Ranger now, because of his Spirit Side bonus card in front of him, which lets him always have a card or draw a map card at the start of his activation. So let's do that. So here we see the map card. Let's see what we found. So now we know with these cards we could find some clues at the castle, or at the forest, or an artifact at the ruin. So this could also be a very cool thing for the Crusader. And we will also get lucky here not to create a Desecration blight, by the way, with this card. And this could really be a very cool thing for the Crusader, because those artifacts are really awesome in most cases. But of course, the Ranger is here in the mountains, so let's see what the event would be. And here we see the Dark Champion. Compared to Darkness, this is a 2, really not worth mentioning. And the ghoul has a fighting power of 4 or an elude of 3. Because of my balance bonus, I think I should go for this one here, because it really doesn't make a difference. Here I would be able to roll 3 dice, but I think I will try to elude here. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm just looking for a 3. Let's see. Yep, not a problem. If we count that up, this would be 3 times the elude value we needed. Awesome, we got rid of this card. And it really does sound boring, but I think I will hide. So hiding lets me basically refresh all my powers, which is a good thing because I have this ancestor power which gives me 2 additional dice. This is really important, I guess. And as I have the balance power, I also gain my secrecy up to default instead of up to 5. So I can really pump my secrecy from 4 to 7. I think this is really worth doing it. So why not just do that? So we would hide, we would refresh our powers here, which is a cool thing. Refresh does not mean we would lose this token here. Therefore, again, I have to use another tactic here. But overall, I think this was a relatively good decision, because right now there's not really much going on. Darkness is okay. We lost one again. There are not too many blights on the board, so I think that was okay for him. Then I will do the second activation of the Crusader. And here we have the Vengeful Spirit. Again, we have to compare it to our secrecy, which is only a 3 right now. So we are facing a shadow, wow, with a loot value of 6 or a fight value of 4. Wow. That's really tough. I could use my tactic card, which lets me loot with 2 dice. But still, wow, that's tough. I really have to think about it. It may sound stupid, but I really think I will, first of all, spend 1 grace here at any time. It says to gain a spark, which is a cool thing. So let's take that spark. Then I will use the tactic down there. So I want to elude with 2 dice. And of course, I will spend my spark here. Because if I would roll a 6 or a 6, basically I can refresh 1 of my powers. So in total, I can now roll 3 dice. But of course, I really need a 6. For once, I can then elude the Vengeful Spirits or the Shadow. And on top of it, I would be able to refresh my Land Law card, a power card, which is really important. So let's really hope for the best here. Ah! So yeah, we were not lucky. So again, in order not to die, this is what this little skull symbol here means. I have to spend 1 grace. And though we pretty much got rid of that event card. Then it's my main action. This is Providence in this case here. It says spend 1 grace. Let's do so. Then we would search and then we would roll 1 die and gain a treasure chest if you roll greater than or equal to your location's search difficulty. So we first search normally, so we have to roll a 4 or more. Oh, this was a 5. I saw it. But okay. Yeah, we didn't find anything, but let's roll again because of our Providence. Let's see if I roll a 4 now. Yes, okay, in this case, I will be able to collect one of those treasure chests here, which I can exchange basically anytime to draw an additional power card from my deck. This is really important, and one thing I forgot to do was to put the secrecy token on this action here, so I cannot use it again right away. First of all, I have to do a standard search, and I think there is no real use not to do it right now. So I think I will immediately spend my treasure chest in order to draw a new power card. This deck contains both, so my Crusader and the secondary one, what was it? The Enchanter, correct. And normally you would draw from the top of the deck, but as I don't want to see what power card comes up next in this variant, you draw from the bottom of the deck. And in this case, we drew a power card from the Crusader. And this is the Communion, +1 default. And gain 1 grace when another hero at your location gains 1 grace. Poof, yeah, overall that's not that great. So maybe it would be okay if they both meet up in the monastery and pray or something like that. Then he would also gain something out of that. But per se, it's not really the greatest power for the Crusader. As we are still in the location with the spies, again I have to lose 1 secrecy, and I was really, this was tough. I really have to do something here. Maybe really going back to the monastery at some point in time and rest there, or maybe do a hide action for his next activation or so. This is really something that can get, yeah, pretty nasty. But now it's the Necromancer's turn. We will increase the darkness by 1. And then we will roll for the Necromancer. I did 1 major mistake at the activation of the Ranger. I will correct it right now. Of course, I don't gain the secrecy immediately. I just gain 1 secrecy when I hide. So the Ranger only has a secrecy of 5. I think he was down to 4 and he should have went up to 5. But this should be pretty much okay, I guess. Now we will roll for the Necromancer. He can still find the Ranger with a roll of 6, but it's more likely that he will find the Crusader, who is only a secrecy of 2. But again, he has to roll higher than the secrecy in order to find us. And in this case, we are kind of lucky. In this case, we again follow those arrows here. The roll of 2 says we would have the Necromancer move here to the village, and this gets kind of problematic because we already have 2 of those blights present, and we will create another one here. And I'm really tempted to see if we want to. No, we will not. Let's draw another map card here for the Necromancer, and in this case we will see the Confusion Blight. So this fella here looks really nice. And again, we see we are not allowed to use any tactics at the village. So overall, that's now really a tough place to be. So for once, we are not allowed to use any tactics. We are not allowed to use any bonuses. And we would also lose 1 secrecy each turn, and also another secrecy because the Necromancer is present. So unless we find a whatever event card or so that lets us remove 1 blight from that location, the village is really a tough nut to crack. This is really something we have to think about it during our very next round. As I'm speaking about it, I think I will call it a day. So these were 2 entire rounds. Things have not gotten really pretty. At least we were able to find 3 of those clues. Overall, we are not doing too great, or at least I'm not doing too great. So I really have to do something during the next round. Pretty sure some of my decisions were kind of bad. Maybe I really shouldn't have eluded or tried to elude those fellas here. But I was really, I was gambling, and apparently I lost. I was not able to find something down there. At least I found a new power card, but this power card, kind of sucks, I guess. So I really have to do some things differently during the next episode of my playthrough of Darkest Night. And hope you are still enjoying it. Hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. And until then, bye bye.